Hello, hello! We have a strange one today. This is the No Silent Nights palette from Morphe. This came out, I believe, for holiday for, it might have been 2021, I think. Possibly 2022. But what I can tell you is that I got this palette during the Black Friday sales that they had in 2022. Like, this is how long I've been holding on to this palette. Finally decided it was time to try it out. And I don't know when this originally came out, but I remember for some reason I could not stop thinking about it because I just really loved the layout that they had come out with this palette. I really liked just how simplistic it was, and I thought I wanted to give it a try. So I knew, I think when I bought it, that at the time I did not want these lighter shades on top. I felt like I knew that these probably were not going to be shades that would be appearing on my skin. I think I'm figuring out how to use light shades a bit more, and as long as they're actually pigmented, they can appear on my skin, and I'm learning to use them a little bit more now. So I wish now, 2 years later, that I hadn't removed these lighter shades on top. I pretty much removed all this entire first row, this entire top row, except the last two shades. So these other 5 shades right here, gone. I ended up taking out those shades and replacing it with another Morphe palette that I found at TJ Maxx. So this one I got on sale, like I said, during Black Friday 2022 for $13.50. And I was like, oh, finally, now I can try this palette. I've had my eye on it. The pictures were just very good. I loved how sparkly it looked. And I had bought in this Morphe 35A Up Till Dawn from TJ Maxx. I think it was probably between $12 and $20. I don't remember, honestly. At this point, that Up Till Dawn palette, I've given it away. I did a couple looks with it, wasn't really pleased with it, and so I took a couple of the shades out of that palette. I depotted both palettes, removed the light shades I did not like from this one, and put it in the Up Till Dawn palette and gave the Up Till Dawn palette away. So this is the actual palette. So the palette that we're going to see right now is completely depotted, and it's what I wanted my palette to look like. You see here, there's no mirror, thankfully for me. I love the idea of this sheet. I tried 2 of the looks trying to do this whole kind of look, and I don't think it worked very well for my eye shape, my eye type. I don't know. It did not look good for me, on me. It just didn't work out for me. Maybe I know I'm not a pro, but I would have thought the instructions like this might have been a little easier. I don't know, but I really loved, again, this kind of setup. They have a light matte, light shimmer, medium matte, deep shimmer, deep matte. I loved the way that it's set up. This felt so beginner friendly, and I still kind of in a way think it is. So let's unveil the palette. So this is my version of the palette. As you can see here, which I said before, I removed this entire first row and I replaced it with mint shades from the Up Till Dawn palette. This is also a replaced shade. And that might be it. I think it might just be six shades that we're looking at right there. I think maybe this one and this one. These two, maybe 7 shades. Overall, I do like this color story a little bit more, but at the same time, I do wish maybe I wouldn't have removed these lighter shades up top, because these shades, these 3 specifically, ended up not applying. I didn't even try them before I replaced them. So this, everything, even though I had depotted it, everything in this palette was completely new. So what I found was that these 2 shades that I had replaced did work well. This blue is really good as well. But these shades, so these shades are from the Up Till Dawn palette, they didn't really apply the way I thought it would, the way I hoped it would. And I think I was just really excited and wanted these shades because I really loved the mint shades from my Jeffree Star palette, and I just, at the time, I think I thought it would be the same thing, and it's not. They work just very lightly. It's such a touch of color, and I like my colors to be a bit more intense. I think the best shades in here was this is called, let's see, Moods Electric. This one was gorge. I also really loved Frost Smitten. And let's see, which one was the other one? I think a good shade might have been Twilight Sparkle. And let's look at Silver Bells. I think these might have been the best shimmers in this palette that kind of gave me what I was expecting more from this palette. And with these shades, I felt, ooh, that one is so gorge. with these shades, I felt like I created looks more aligned with what I was expecting from a palette like this. Still a little more on the lighter side, but I didn't mind because the looks that I ended up putting together when everything was together, I quite liked. Just want to make these pop out a little bit more. So pretty. Really liked this orange as well. I loved how sparkly it was. The shimmer powder, I guess you would describe, is a little bit more fine, so it's not super intense. It's hard to explain. It's quite shimmery, almost like a highlighter. This row's a bit more like metallic. It's leaning a lot more towards metallic than it is leaning towards shimmer. These are also alright. Let's try this. I think it was fine. I think it worked pretty well, but it didn't really stand out to me. The mattes in here, I think these, what would you call them, medium mattes, these medium mattes right here, probably performed the best out of everything. I had a little bit of difficulty, especially with the blacks. The blacks were slightly patchy, so that made it a bit difficult to work with because you could definitely tell like where I had applied it and where I was trying to make it go. Like it just didn't fully like work out. So ultimately, like I was saying, I kind of wish I hadn't depotted this because even though this color story I do love and I love the layout, I think overall I'm gonna have to pass this on. While I had some really good looks with this and some difficulties, and I fit the color story to my liking, the product still wasn't what I kind of was expecting it to be. I think it's alright. I think someone who likes lighter makeup and is more in the beginner stages of makeup would enjoy this. I think if you're looking for a larger beginner palette, this definitely is still it. And I still see this palette occasionally at your local wholesalers, so you may still find this palette. I know probably this palette you're not going to find it on like an Ulta or the Morphe website anymore. It's too old at this point. This is from a holiday collection like 2-3 years ago. But if you do find it, I feel like you might think about picking it up. We have like a row of taupes, a row of kind of like grungy gray blue. We have our pinks. We had a row of, let's see, let me look at my shades. I guess more of a neutral. This was supposed to be a neutral shade. Then we had a row, I'm looking at this backwards. This was supposed to be a row of like peaches. And then we had a row of like oranges. And then here we had a row of like golds and yellows. I think that's a really good setup. But I'm passing this along. It was decently alright. I love the idea of making this a large beginner palette, but I think I could have done without it. Here's some of those looks. I would love to see someone actually possibly apply these the way it should have been. I don't feel like it worked for my eye shape, but you know, it's a pass for me.